This photo is called World Beyond Self. This photo was taken in the summer of 2019, and this to me was a portfolio capstone to really show what I was capable of, and also proof of concept for film scenes that I would like to do. The last few years I've been focusing on stability and have just taken a different approach to what my priorities are in life. And I very much still want to do massive orchestrations like this, but I want to do it with more stability. The universe has a very fascinating way of working, and ultimately this art has finally brought me the stability that I needed in a very different form than I would have imagined. One of the reasons I'm doing all of these artist process walkthroughs is because I'm completing the first decade of my art career. Temple, the first film that I did, was in 2013, is when I started it. And now it's 2023. And so it's really cool to look back and reflect on the last decade of my art. This is the close of a decade and the beginning of a new decade. And I want to begin this next decade with a lot more stability. And so I've been focusing more on older forest conservation, environmentalism, integrating more into society, understanding politics and legislation, because all of my art is about eco-consciousness. And so I decided that I need to take a step away from the imaginal realm of art and become more grounded in the contemporary consciousness of our time. This photo was really a last hurrah. I do have a behind the scenes of the orchestration of this. It took me about 2 months to build this set. As you can see, all these cables are rigged, and it was not an easy feat to rig all these cables. This was done at the Cascadia Arts and Music Festival. This is a second growth grove. I walked around the grounds of the Cascadia Arts and Music Festival with the producer, Michael Manhan. He's a total legend. And we walked here and I was like, all right, this is the place. This is amazing. He knew it too. He brought me here. The first thing I do is I just sit here and I stare and I take pictures. So just imagine a picture with no one here. And then I start mapping it out. How am I actually going to do this? Before I had even been shown this location by Michael, I knew that I wanted to do a big photo shoot at Cascadia. I knew it. This was the symbolic concept for the photo. I'm like, all right, man, I want to have a flaming diamond, and I want to have a bunch of people, and I want it to be in a forest. And originally I was thinking of an aerial shot facing downwards. So imagine you had a drone in the sky facing downwards. And I described this concept to Sibel. Sibel's my main creative partner these days. She's responsible for the majority of the costumes in this photo shoot. And I explained my concept to her, and she was like, dude, that's kind of lame. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, no, man, like, it's kind of lame. You should probably do something a little bit different. And so she started concepting. She's brilliant with concepts. And I was like, okay, I guess it's a little lame. We can do better. And so I sit down with Sibel and I'm like, okay, Sibel, let's start concepting. And so bam, we concept. And we're like, all right, this is what we're going to do. This is it right here. This is our concept. And the next step is I had to wrap my head around the rigging. This was getting a little more hashed out. In this concept drawing, we didn't have these structures here on the ground. And then I was like, there's more space. We can do more. And we started saying, okay, there's going to be a structure here, and there's going to be people in the foreground. And then we're going to have this flaming diamond. You know, how many people can be up here? So we have our high flyers, our low flyers, our mid flyers, low flyers, high flyers. And then we're going to have a shit ton of people up here. I wasn't quite sure how many. This is before I had even bought the wire rope. I had some wire rope from prior photo shoots. But okay, I need to calculate how many feet do I need? How many feet of cable rigging do I need? How many turnbuckles do I need? How many shackles do I need? And so this was the first attempt at really figuring out the physics of it. Is this all possible? And then after we construct it, we had to stress test it. Is the wire rope going to be able to hold this amount of weight? How do we make it safe? How do we make it legitimate? Including how do we make this flaming fire structure? And thanks to Jerome, he was able to make this. And he's a welder and really good with these type of things. And so he was able to make this. We launch into it. We orchestrate this. The reason how I was able to have so many people and so many skilled individuals is because most of these people here had already been contracted to be performers at Cascadia. So these are aerialists, these are acrobats, these are dancers, these are embodied individuals who are already getting paid to be there. And most of them know me and know my work. And so I was like, hey, are you willing to dedicate 8 hours of one of your days at Cascadia during the middle of the day to orchestrate this photo shoot. And Sibel gave it extreme legitimacy because Sibel actually knows most of these people better than I do and had better rapport with them. So that's how we were able to get everyone here. As far as the symbolism, I go into great detail about the symbolism of this photo in a lecture that I hosted at Mortlake and Company Bookstore in Pioneer Square here in Seattle. I think it's worth checking out because it's probably the most comprehensive lecture that I've given on the symbolism in my art, and I did a lot of research for it. But as far as the orchestration, this is a composite, and you can see by watching the behind the scenes video, we started out with these deities. There are 10 layers to this picture, and each layer represents a aspect of human existence, ranging from the deific, spiritual, most evolved conscious aspect of ourselves that every individual contains, the most divine parts of ourselves, which these 4 characters represent, going all the way back to the other end of the spectrum, the mundane part of ourselves, the mortal part of ourselves, the part that struggles with the grind, the part that struggles with our weaknesses, with our insecurities, the parts of us that are just a cog in the wheel, a part of us that are just on this wild rock hurtling through space. We can just be crushed by nature at any time. That's what this represents back here. And then everything in between. The overarching symbolism for this photo, to me, I saw it as a moment in time where human consciousness merged with nature consciousness or planetary consciousness and merged with cosmic consciousness. This is a visual representation of humanity when we merge with those 3 layers of consciousness. If we get our act together and we figure this out and we begin to collaborate and stop warring with each other and stop fighting and start working on regenerating nature, assisting nature, living symbiotically and synergistically with nature, that is when we will reveal the full magnitude of our power as sentient beings on a living planet. And so this is the visual representation of that. This was super fun. I also learned a lot personally. My body hurts from the amount of workload. And it took 2 months rigging all of this. But it went super smooth. I'm definitely super thankful I did this. So this is World Beyond Self.